Hey there, and welcome to Health, a Second Opinion. Dr. Chad here, excited about another week of bringing you some truth and some principle to allow you to max out your health potential and therefore your life potential. And so the title today is, why do we get sick during the holidays? It's already, just the middle of November here, and the number of people that we see, there's been literally dozens of people who are saying, yeah, doc, it's that same thing every year. I got that yearly sinus infection. I get it the same time. I have the same allergies. I have the same, whatever. And you just fill in the blank about their sickness. And maybe that's you. Maybe that you have those times, and it's this time of year where so many people that nationally we call it the flu season. And we talk about the number of sicknesses and the things that happen during this time of year. But I'm going to connect the dots for you today and then give you some really good information to the ways that you can not only avoid getting sick, but maintain or lose weight during the holidays and to reduce your stress and to avoid that yearly sickness. And it's like really cool because the people who are saying these things to me are usually my newer patients. They've only been maybe in the practice for 3 to 6 months, and now it's their next holiday season, and they're asking questions about it. My patients who are older and they've been with me for 5, 10, 15 years, they don't have those things, and they don't say those things. The majority of them have a different outlook. And it's this time of year in which they come back to me and say, I'm so thankful. I remember when I had this sickness every single year. And they recount all that the holidays were torturous because their headaches got worse and they were always sick. And then the new year always stank and they didn't ever make it to midnight because they felt terrible because they were already in their yearly sickness. And so it's this inverse relationship that we find in that the longer someone has been involved in chiropractic, especially the corrective care chiropractic like we provide in Max Living, and the people that I see in my office on a weekly or monthly or basis for years and years and years, the difference between them and the typical population. And so to connect some of those dots, I actually got this from Ernie Ponders. Thank you for a great article here. This is from the Mayo Clinic, and it was written by Dr. Steve Kopecki, MD, cardiologist at the Mayo Clinic. And it's a letter that he wrote about the cardiovascular disease and his history with health. And he wrote it in notes the fact that based on the fact that he's fought cancer twice and won, it brought to perspective the old proverb that a healthy person has 1,000 wishes. A sick person only has one. And that's really in that vein of, hey, help me, doc, help me get over XYZ. And it goes for what brings people into the office a lot of times, their illnesses, their chronic pains, they're all these things. And the magic of this and why this is such a brilliant letter is he says, at the time, I was an invasive cardiologist treating heart attacks and doing procedures on clogged up arteries, coronary angioplasties, which meant that my daily work was on the treating side, not the prevention side of medicine. Learning how to prevent disease was somewhat new to me, and I learned to surprise me that although I had 2 prior cancers, heart disease was most likely going to be the cause of my passing from this earth. I discovered that there are lifestyle habits that lead to heart disease and also the major other plagues of the current world, cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and many more. And so as I read this article and got to thinking about why we get sick in the holidays and the trying to correct it, it's really the same things. It's just that during the holidays, we get blown apart by our loss of the lifestyle things that he's going to talk about in this article. And he says, noting that there was a big shift from the century before where the top causes of death in the early 20th century were influenza, pneumonia, tuberculosis. And most of those were really furthered and caused by poor sanitation and hygiene problems. And that with the advent of better sanitation, better water quality, and all of these things, and the understanding of what was driving the chronic infectious disease, we were able to, and they're no longer the major causes of death. The top causes of death in the United States today are heart disease and cancer. And so as we look at these, he goes on to say, now this is Dr. Kopecky, and he's written a new book to which, if you're listening to this show, you have no use for, because we have a much better system of implementation for. So it's called The 5 Essentials of Max Living, which has the things that he's talking about in his book, but yet has one silver bullet that aligns all of the other principles to which we will help you implement for you and your family. And it goes on to talk about how the chronic inflammation of the body is what leads us to susceptibility of disease. And what are the causes? Right? Poor nutrition. Man, how about the holidays, right? Let's just go ahead and say it. We don't have a flu season. We have an immune suppression season. It starts with the candy holiday that we call Halloween. And it starts the couple of weeks prior and the weeks after for all those school parties that the kids go to. And then the real parties that the parents take their kids to. And then the actual holiday itself. And then the week afterwards, tapering them off and trying to hide the candy that they got. Because the reality is that the average adult, is 181 pounds. If that person consumes 75 grams of sugar in a single serving, their white blood cell activity will be suppressed by 50% for at least the next 5 hours. So think about it. What's that doing to my 40-pound almost 5-year-old? What about my, 80-pound 10-year-old? Right? I mean, these kids are getting just absolutely crushed for hours at a time. Add that on top of the typical school lunch, and now, bam, they're immune suppressed all day long. And then they get sick, and we blame the kids for bringing it home to the parents. And we talk about how dirty school is, and we talk about all these things. It's not really the schools. It's that we're immune suppressing our children. And then we move into the pie holiday. And then we graduate from Thanksgiving, and the parties, some are early, some are late. You got maybe a lot of us were from split families. And so you got to have Thanksgiving with this family. You got to have Thanksgiving with this family. You got work things. You got all these school things. You got all this other stuff. We bleed right into Christmas, the cookie and cake holiday, to which we're suppressing our immune systems through poor nutrition. That leads us into his other cause of chronic disease, decreased exercise, right? So it's complicated by the fact that only 10% of the United States actually has a regular exercise routine anyway. That's why 90% of America is already sick, right? That's right. Just like 10% of the current population of the United States uses chiropractic care regularly. Just like only about 10% eat the non-SAD diet, right? Standard American diet, the SAD diet. Why should something that is SAD be standard? So this decreased exercise, even for the 10%, a lot of them then get out of their pattern. And so we blow our pattern of exercise, which leads us with more unmanaged stress. And then we get inadequate sleep. We're extra stressed. We're doing more. We got more things on the plate, right? Quote unquote. Yeah, unfortunately, we got more things on that plate too, at all these bad meals. And then we overeat. So it's not only poor nutritional quality, it's higher increases of things like high fructose corn syrup, and it's the lack of nutrition. That if there was a good diet, like let's say that you're already a patient and you're on the core plan or you're on the advanced plan and you're utilizing, you know about how to eat and you know where your nutritional quality is coming from and you're managing that, then even myself during the holidays, it's a struggle to stay on task with all of these things. And then this lifestyle stuff leads to too much weight. I love this. And then chronic inflammation built from all of these unhealthy practices is the cause. Now, this is Dr. Alzheimer's disease, cancer, diabetes, chronic fatigue, decreased immunity, sexual dysfunction, depression, osteoporosis, fatty liver disease, macular degeneration, and heart disease, to name a few. Sound familiar? Right? It's unfortunate that so many, this is the list: the Alzheimer's disease, the cancer, the diabetes, the chronic fatigue, the decreased immunity, sexual dysfunction, low T, quote unquote, depression, osteoporosis, fatty liver disease, macular degeneration, heart disease. These are the things that are the signs of, on a regular chronic basis, what makes us sick during the holidays as we excess through them. Did you know that physical inactivity or physical activity, when skeletal muscles contract during physical activity, they release proteins into the bloodstream that help reduce inflammation? Inactive muscles, in contrast, he states, lead to an increase in pro-inflammatory molecules, a trend seen not only in the people who have survived breast cancer and people with diabetes, but also in people with ongoing health concerns. Well, I don't know about you, and I know he doesn't mean the language this way, but I'm concerned about my health all the time, because a sick person only has one wish. A healthy person has 1,000. And our idea should be to live to our max potential. And why are all these things on the list? Because of poor nutrition, decreased exercise, smoking, unmanaged stress, excess alcohol, inadequate sleep, and too much weight. Why are all of these things on that list causing all of these things over here? It's because each individual practices their own combination of them, and therefore their bodies express the symptom of an unhealthy body in different ways that manifest in different diseases that we can label and then in conventional medicine treat. Not prevent, not fix the cause, but treat the symptoms of it, the presentation of it. And then, as he goes on to point out, that's not healthcare. That's management of the symptoms. But we are trained to think of this as healthcare. And so then, during the holidays, our patterns become even worse. And so we're not using the 80% of blood sugars consumed by skeletal muscle. So if you're not getting out and exercising and you're not getting as much of your routines, then you're leaving an excess of blood sugar out there, which is putting more of a demand on the pancreas, which then, if you're already diabetic or pre-diabetic, causes this inflammatory cascade to go up, because that we know that sugar's an anti-nutrient. It's an inflammatory molecule, and that this causes a rise in every ill that we can connect chronic inflammation to. And so when we look at this, he goes on to say that this is really key, and I want to that this habits that we're seeing during the holidays is just a overdoing of the chronic things that we do. And I want to point out that unhealthy diet, low in fruits and vegetables, and healthy grains, that's high in sodium and trans fats and ultra processed foods change the composition of the gut microbiome, among other things. The gut microbiome is made up of all of the microorganisms, including bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other tiny microorganisms that normally live in our digestive tract. And when we upset the balance, we create low-grade inflammation that increases the chronic disease. His other leading things are obesity, sleep and stress disturbances, and environmental and industrial pollutants. Wow. Sounds like why we designed. And it's a great article. I do suggest that you go on and read it. Again, Live Younger and Longer by Kopecky, Mayo Clinic. He goes on to really talk about, and I love the graphs here, the 5 major things, death patterns, and how this plays a role and how most people die. In that there's sudden death, there's terminal illness, there's organ failure, and there's frailty. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we finish up with this, talking about the fact that the reason that max living is the silver bullet, the way of allowing the body to fend off all of these offenders, is because it is addressing the 5 things, most common causes of the body to not function properly. And the mindset and the stress, the nutrition, the exercise and oxygen, toxicity is one of the essentials. But the key that allows the, and this is some information, so from lots of research out there, I'm going to give the main top that experience with chronic with lifelong maintenance care chiropractic. Most often listed are increased energy, a stronger immune system, better ability to focus, improved growth and development of children, and a reduced risk of disease and injury. It's why on average, people who are regular consumers of chiropractic, they experience about an 85% reduction in pharmaceuticals. It's because they know the things that we're talking about right here, and they're implementing it, and it's unified in the 5th essential. Actually, is the first. It's called core chiropractic, in that a properly functioning nervous system throughout someone's life will control and coordinate the function of all other systems better. And the only way that happens is through a properly functioning spine. And only who are dedicated and trained to deliver that specific chiropractic adjustment to restore the body's inherent recuperative powers through proper nervous system control are max living chiropractors. And so for you, it's about getting you and your family into the office and finding out if your spine and nervous system is causing dysfunction in you, and what you can do to restore that balance and create and repair and regenerate the spine by removing those subluxations and restoring proper postural balance. That's the key, and why we see the results and why our populations don't get sick through the holidays. It's only the new patients that do that. And then the next year when they're under regular care, they're being in the group that's so thankful. So what's your key things? What are your implementation strategies? Number one, it's, of course, keep your adjustment schedules. Make sure that you're doing your home care exercises and staying on track with the things that will help your nervous system function optimally. Next is, get rid of those devices earlier in the day and try to get rid of some of that blue light and get your melatonin ratios better. And then plan your sleep and really just stay focused this holiday season on from now all the way through the new year. Make a diligent effort to make bedtime and less screen time a priority for you and your family. Then it's about making sure to program in exercise. Don't break your routine. Make it the unbreakable thing, just like with your adjustment schedules. Stay on track with the things that are going to take care of you. let's be honest. The holidays are a great time to be thankful and be reminded of how blessed we are in the birth of Jesus and our salvation. But yet, this is the time where we most often trash the temple, right? Human bodies. And so we've got to get back to the greatest gift that we can give ourselves and our family is healthy body and therefore healthy experience and a lifetime of how to take care of ourselves, to live in prevention and live in potential versus treating disease. And so this is a great talking point for you and your family about minimizing junk food and less cake and less candy and those kind of things. So keep your exercise regimens, plan in little play times with your kids in between meals and at these functions. Be the cool person who organizes the ball game or goes on the walk or whatever after meals. You know, be that person. Be your own cheerleader. Next is definitely try to, while you're out there, always stay away from the dessert table. Stay far away. Make that not where you hang out. So don't hang out next to the snacks. Make sure you plan on starting with your fruits and vegetables, starting with the healthy things, that options. Eat those first. Go ahead and get something in your belly so you're not as unsatiably hungry. Then have smaller portions. It'll just be easier to have smaller portions of all that other stuff. Then get back to, again, stay on your supplements schedule. Make sure you're helping with any deficiencies, any toxicities by sweating with your exercise and helping detox the body that way. Remembering that you're going to reduce inflammation and help your immune system by avoiding that sugar. You're going to release those those anti-inflammatory molecules with exercise. You're going to have a boosted immune system by having better sleep. Then that coordination through you are dealing with it from a positive standpoint. You are having a positive mindset. You're taking action steps that will yield you better results. This gives you faith over fear. This allows you to have justifiable expectations of having a healthier holiday season, enjoying it and not being sick and blowing the new year and not being able to get to start the year with the oomph that you need to create and meet those goals with your New Year's resolutions. And so these are the things that we implement on a regular basis that are just free with being a part of a Max Living standard with the care that we implement through chiropractic here in our offices. So give the office a call, 706-657-4777. You can text questions or make calls to the office. Sorry, here having some technical difficulties. So you can always call with questions to the office or text questions, and we will get back with you as quickly as possible. This is Health a Second Opinion. Dr. Chad here with you, hoping you are blessed with a healthier and happier holiday season, understanding how to do so and implementing those strategies. And then, hey, when the holidays are over, if you're not a patient, send us messages about how you implemented these things and how much better your holiday season was. We'd love to see that and help you have another holiday season next year. The expectation of living to your max potential. See you back here next week.